He has the courage. He has the vision. He has the respect of the people around him. But when you ask him to lead, to take the title, the role, the spotlight, he steps back. Not because he's afraid, not because he's unqualified, but because he simply doesn't want it. That's the Sigma male. He walks into a room and people notice. Not because he demands attention, but because his presence speaks for itself. He listens more than he talks. He moves with purpose. He doesn't need to tell people what to do, they just follow. Yet when the moment comes to lead officially, he usually refuses. He doesn't want to be in charge of a group. He doesn't want the title of boss, captain, or leader. Even when others push him into the role, he quietly moves away from it. It doesn't make sense to most people. Why would someone who could be a strong leader choose not to lead? Why would someone who inspires others not take the position of power? The answer isn't about weakness. It's about clarity. The Sigma male sees leadership differently. He sees what it costs. He knows what it demands. And most of the time he's not willing to trade his peace, freedom and focus for the stress that comes with control. Still, people follow him. Not because he wants them to, but because they trust him. They see strength without ego. They see direction without domination. And that makes him one of the most powerful types of leaders, one who doesn't need to lead at all. In this video, we'll break down 6 real reasons why a Sigma male makes a fearless leader but refuses to lead. If you've ever felt the pull to guide others but hated the idea of being in charge, this will make sense. Because for the Sigma male, leadership is never about status, it's about presence. Reason number 1, he prioritizes freedom over authority. Most people chase leadership for one reason: power. They want to be the one who makes decisions, gives orders, and controls what happens around them. But the Sigma male sees the trap in that. He knows that with authority comes responsibility, and with responsibility comes pressure. And he doesn't want to be trapped by any of it. His first priority is always freedom. Not just physical freedom, but mental and emotional freedom. The ability to move how he wants, think how he wants, and live how he wants without needing permission or approval. Leadership in most systems requires giving that up. Once you become a leader, you're no longer free to be invisible. You're expected to show up, speak up, and carry the weight of other people's choices. That might look like power on the outside, but to the Sigma male, it feels like a cage. He doesn't want to attend endless meetings, deal with office politics, or manage the emotions of a team. He doesn't want to be held responsible for other people's mistakes. He doesn't want to be tied to a role that limits his ability to change direction when needed. Even if he's the most qualified person in the room, he will often pass on the role of leader just to keep his space. That doesn't mean he doesn't care. It means he values peace over pressure. The Sigma male thrives in settings where he can operate alone or on the edges of a group. He'll contribute when needed, even take charge in a crisis, but once the fire is out, he steps back. He doesn't want the crown. He just wants to move freely. And this makes him confusing to people who crave status. They can't understand why someone with power would give it up. But the Sigma male doesn't care about recognition. He cares about being untied. Leadership means being watched, judged, and held accountable in ways that feel fake to him. And if leading means losing his ability to stay true to himself, he'll walk away from the whole thing without regret. That's why freedom always comes before authority. And that's why, even when the Sigma male has all the skills to lead, he refuses the title. Reason number 2, he leads by example, not command. Some people lead with orders. Others lead with presence. The Sigma male falls into the second group. He doesn't tell people what to do, he just does it himself. And in doing so, he naturally pulls people forward. This is why others often follow him without being asked. They see how he moves, how he works, how he responds to pressure, and they want to match that energy. He doesn't need to give speeches or lay out rules. His actions say enough. He shows up early without being asked. He handles problems without seeking praise. He treats people with respect but doesn't let anyone walk over him. This kind of quiet strength sends a message even if he never says a word. People trust those who live their values. And the Sigma male lives his every day. He doesn't pretend to be perfect. But he's consistent, focused, grounded. And that kind of example sticks with people longer than any title. What makes this approach different is that it doesn't depend on control. The Sigma male doesn't need people to follow him. He's fine going alone. But because of that, people respect him more. They know he's not leading for attention. He's just living the way he believes is right. That honesty is rare. And people feel it. Even in team settings, the Sigma male leads without taking over. If others ask for guidance, he gives it. If no one steps up, he might take action, but never in a way that demands loyalty. He simply shows what needs to be done and does it. This kind of leadership builds deep trust, because there's no performance, no manipulation. Just clear, direct example. But when someone tries to formalize his role, make him the leader officially, he often resists. Because once it becomes a role, it changes the energy. People start expecting him to manage them, guide them, correct them. And that's not how he leads. He'd rather inspire from the side than control from the front. He'd rather stay true to his method than get caught in the trap of trying to please everyone. To the Sigma male, leadership is not a position. It's behavior. It's showing up the same way, whether anyone follows or not. Reason number 3, he avoids the politics that come with power. Leadership often sounds exciting. It looks like control, status, and recognition. But underneath, it's filled with something the Sigma male can't stand: politics. The power games. The hidden rules. The fake smiles. The silent deals. It's all noise to him, and he avoids it at all costs. The Sigma male sees through the surface. He knows that the higher you go, the more games you have to play. In many systems, leadership isn't just about doing a good job, it's about knowing who to please, when to stay quiet, and how to play along. That's not leadership to him. That's manipulation. He doesn't want to spend his time navigating egos, alliances, or petty arguments. He doesn't want to build a fake image just to gain favor. He doesn't want to be involved in drama that wastes time and energy. And he definitely doesn't want to smile in rooms where the truth is being avoided. This is why he often steps away from official leadership roles. Even if he can handle the work, he's not interested in the politics that surround it. To him, that's a trap. It forces him to act fake, hide opinions, and manage people's emotions in ways that don't feel honest. The Sigma male would rather lose the opportunity than lose his peace. That doesn't mean he can't survive in those spaces. He can. In fact, he usually sees the political game more clearly than anyone else. But just because he can win the game doesn't mean he wants to play it. When he sees people promoting themselves, taking credit for work they didn't do, or stepping on others to rise, he checks out. He doesn't argue. He just quietly pulls away. And if leading means joining that system, he's not interested. He prefers realness over recognition. He'd rather work alone, build something quietly, and stay under the radar than become part of a system that demands dishonesty. And because of that, he protects something many leaders lose over time: his integrity. That's why he can lead in a crisis, guide others in silence, and gain trust without titles. Because people see that he's not involved in the games. He's just focused on doing things right. That makes him rare, and in many cases more respected than the ones with the actual power. Reason number 4. He respects individual paths and doesn't want to control others. Most leaders are expected to direct. They guide, correct, and organize people toward a common goal. That sounds noble, but to the Sigma male it feels like control. And control is something he's never comfortable with, especially when it involves other people's lives. The Sigma male believes that everyone has their own path, their own way of thinking, feeling, and growing. He doesn't assume he knows what's best for everyone. And because of that, he doesn't want the responsibility of pushing people in directions they may not be ready for. Leadership in many systems puts pressure on the leader to fix others, to step in, to correct, to guide constantly. But the Sigma male doesn't believe in that. He believes in space. Space to figure it out. Space to fall, learn, and rise again. And space to do it all without someone standing over your shoulder. He leads through respect, not through pressure. If someone asks him for advice, he gives it honestly. If someone needs help, he offers it freely. But he won't force his opinion. He won't try to control someone's steps. And that's because he hates when others do that to him. He understands how valuable personal freedom is. And he applies that same value to everyone around him. Even if he disagrees with someone's path, he respects their right to walk it. That makes him a powerful influence because he doesn't push. He creates space where people feel safe to grow. And people trust that kind of energy more than commands or rules. The reason he refuses to lead isn't because he's afraid. It's because he doesn't want the job of shaping people's lives. He knows how hard it is to build your own identity. He knows how many mistakes it takes. And he doesn't want to get in the way of that process for someone else. This approach might confuse traditional leaders who believe in strong direction. But the Sigma male isn't about direction, he's about reflection. He lives his truth, and others see it. They don't feel pushed, they feel inspired. And that's more powerful than any command. So while others chase leadership to gain influence, the Sigma male often walks away from it, just to let people grow in their own way. Reason number 5, he sees leadership as energy, not title. To many people, leadership is a title, a job, a rank on the chart. But to the Sigma male, it's something very different. He sees leadership as energy, a kind of weight, a force that follows you everywhere and demands your constant attention. And to him, that's draining. The Sigma male guards his energy carefully. He doesn't waste it on things that don't matter. He doesn't stay in places that burn him out. He keeps his focus sharp by removing distractions. And formal leadership is full of them. Meetings, emails, expectations, social pressure. All of it demands a certain kind of energy. And even when the mission is good, the daily stress can chip away at his core. That's why he says no, not because he's weak, but because he's protecting his strength. He knows that every yes to a title is a no to something else. A no to silence. A no to freedom. A no to creative thought and solo time. And he's not willing to trade those things just to wear a badge or hold a position. That's not how he defines leadership. To him, leadership is how you carry yourself when no one's watching. It's how you speak to people who can't offer you anything. It's how you handle pressure when it hits you hard. None of that requires a title. It just requires presence. He would rather keep his influence small and strong than stretch himself too thin just to lead a crowd. Because once the crowd starts expecting him to perform, he loses the very thing that makes him powerful, his focus. So instead of leading from the front, he leads from within. He leads by being centered, stable, and grounded in who he is. And people feel that. They respond to it, even if they don't understand it. The world teaches that more leadership means more power. But the Sigma male knows the truth. Real power comes from knowing your limits, protecting your energy, and walking away from anything that threatens your peace. Reason number 6. He fears losing his inner world by leading publicly. The Sigma male doesn't just protect his time and energy. He protects something even more important, his inner world. That quiet space inside where he thinks clearly, creates freely, and connects with who he really is. And the truth is, public leadership threatens that space. When you lead in a formal way, you become visible. You become a figure people watch, judge, and rely on. You have to speak more, show up more, and deal with more voices in your head that don't belong to you. That exposure feels like a slow invasion to the Sigma male. He doesn't fear people. He fears noise. The noise that comes from being too involved, too responsible, too public. And he knows that if he's not careful, that noise will drown out his own thoughts. He'll stop hearing himself. He'll start managing other people's expectations instead of following his own path. That's why he steps away when people try to push him into the spotlight. He doesn't want to be a symbol. He doesn't want to carry the hopes and fears of others. He wants to stay rooted in himself. This doesn't make him selfish. It makes him honest. He knows how leadership can change people. It starts with good intentions, but soon you're performing. You're choosing words carefully. You're becoming a version of yourself that fits the role, but no longer fits you. The Sigma male won't risk that. His power comes from being untouched by systems, roles, and labels. Once he takes on a title, he knows it will start shaping him. He knows that leadership in the public eye comes with pressure to be someone he's not. That's not worth it to him. He'd rather lead quietly from behind the scenes. He'd rather protect the part of himself that sees clearly and thinks deeply. Because that part is where his real value lives. And once that's gone, no title can bring it back. So while others chase leadership to feel more important, the Sigma male protects his silence to stay real. And in doing so, he remains something most leaders eventually lose, fully himself. The world is full of people fighting to be leaders. They chase titles, influence, and recognition. They believe that leadership is about standing above others, giving orders, and being the face of every decision. But the Sigma male sees it differently. To him, leadership isn't a title. It's a responsibility that should never be taken lightly, and often should be avoided. He doesn't lead because he wants attention. He leads because he has to in moments where no one else can. And when the moment passes, he disappears just as quietly as he arrived. That's what makes him so powerful. He knows how to lead. But he also knows the cost. And most of the time he's not willing to pay it, not with his freedom, not with his energy, and not with his identity. We've walked through 6 reasons why the Sigma male makes a fearless leader, but refuses to lead. He values freedom more than control. He leads by example, not command. He avoids the politics of power. He respects individual freedom. He protects his energy. And above all, he shields his inner world from being shaped by outside expectations. This isn't fear. It's clarity. He doesn't need to lead to prove his strength. His strength is in knowing when to step up and when to step away. And that kind of wisdom is rare. If you see yourself in this, don't let anyone force you into a role you didn't ask for. You don't need a title to make an impact. You don't need a team to lead with honor. Just live fully, think clearly, and walk your own path with purpose. Because sometimes the strongest leaders are the ones who never ask to lead, but leave the biggest mark by simply being themselves. If this video spoke to something in you, share it. Someone else out there needs to hear that it's okay to lead differently, and it's powerful to walk away when leading means losing yourself.